Welcome. I need to figure out what I'm running yet. It is on silent. And that is how Jimmy the Turtle learned the true meaning of friendship. Sorry, running a little bit late. I was actually talking about the ransack issue right before the live stream, so had to do that. I can talk about that in just a little bit here. I will get to your question, Jared, in just a second. Hello and welcome to Friday afternoon here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons/live. I am DDO's somewhat late community manager, Cordovan. Appreciate everyone being here and sticking with me. I was running just a little bit late because I was talking about a bug with QA, and we're working to get to the root of that right now. So we're seeing some reports from players that are change that happened in this week's patch to bring ransack penalty to optional XP, and the reason we did that is due to exploits, was maybe causing some kind of issue with base XP, and we're trying to get consistent repro with that and then dig into the issue and solve it as quickly as we can. So if that's something that you guys are dealing with in chat, I would love to know if you had a consistent repro step. Put it in chat, and I'll make sure to pass it along to QA right after this. Although they are working on it, like I say, right now, so it could be by the time I get back to them, it's going to be a non-issue. Alright, so where am I today? I am on Kyber, and I don't know what I'm running yet. I am going to check to see what kind... Hey, how's it going? I'm going to check to see if there's any raids I need to flag for, and if there are, then I'll flag for them. Definitely looks like I need to do Evening Star. I don't know if I want to. Okay. Alright, looks like I got Fall of Truth and Reaver's Bane and the Giant Hold. Almost positive I'm flagged for Vaughn, right? Flagged for Demon Queen, probably. Oh, really? Huh. That's interesting. Maybe that. I am flagged for Abbott. Looks like maybe I could flag for Epic Abbott. Yeah, well, why don't we do that? Okay, I've got Fire and Thunder Peak. Looks like I do have to flag for that yet, too. Yeah, I got Vault Night. I've got Heroic Shroud. It looks like I could flag for Epic Shroud. That sounds like a plan. I think I'd rather do Epic Shroud than Vault. Why don't we run the Epic Shroud stuff? Is that okay? Flagging for Epic Shroud. It looks like I've not flagged for that, so it seems like something we could do. I am on Armog. Let me put that into chat here. Like I say, I'm sorry I'm running a little bit late. but I was kind of had a rolling into the noon hour here, keeping pretty busy ahead of the weekend. So we got things to do that we are doing. All right. I'm not late because I was moonlighting on Lotro, although I was moonlighting on Lotro yesterday. For example, for those who maybe play both games, I'm doing a live stream now. I just did my very first live stream on Lotro on a total newbie character on Landreval. It's going to be Thursday at noon. So I've got Wednesday at noon, Thursday at noon, and Friday at noon. Apparently I don't like to eat lunch at noon, which is actually true anyway. I was never a big noon hour lunch eater. So for me, broadcasting on my lunch hour is great. Okay, so heading over to our YouTube chat, we have a question from Garret. Will summoning get any love soon? Soon is a tough question to answer. I know that we have talked over the years, in recent months even, about perhaps doing some kind of summoning tree. Whether that would be maybe an enhancement tree along the lines of Harper, or perhaps making it a artificer specific tree, although if we're going to do it, we might as well do it for all summoning classes, right? So I would say that it is possible that we will see some kind of summoning love in the future. As far as when that's going to be, is it going to be, you know, next couple updates? Probably not. Maybe. We'll have to see. Sorry I don't have a better answer for you. Next couple. I'm a good card runner. Anyway, if you do have any other questions in chat, please to let me know, and I will please to answer them should I be able to. If not, I'll just tell you that. Just seeing if I have a pocket hire in here somewhere. Well, apparently I got a lot of XP stones to crunch, free up that inventory. My gear is in such bad shape. Oh my gosh. Alright, we have a 50%. I do like that armor smacks him. That's pretty awesome. We're twins here today. Why are there not spears in DDO? Steelmaster24 says. Probably the biggest reason we don't have spears is that they would involve new animation for all the various character rigs. We would have to create, you know, presumably you're going to want some kind of stabby motion with the spear, and we don't currently have that in our animation tool, you know, slate. So if we were going to bring spears into the game, we would need to you know, do that work, and that would not be an insignificant amount of work. Now, I know we'd love to. Frankly, I think we'd like to do pole arms and a whole bunch of other things too, given unlimited time and resources. Who knows? Who knows, right? It'll either happen or it won't. So. Oh, hey, you know what? Let's actually recall out. I can get a guest pass for you, Urlock, and then you can get in, no problem. We do have one, I think it's based on a quarterstaff model that is spear-like in effect, in that it does both piercing and slashing damage, but it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really count. So. It's something we would like to do. Absolutely. So who wouldn't want that? Okay, what am I missing here? Which one's the shroud? I haven't done this in a while. Oh, crap. It's not Trials of the Archons, is it? Oh, it's just the regular Veil of Twilight, right? And it does both epic and what have you. Okay. There we go. This is something I actually am more than happy to do for folks who want to join me on the live stream but perhaps don't have the content. Alright, yeah, as soon as you can get to Meridia, right? You should be able to get to Meridia, I think, without the guest pass. Yeah, Sirith. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's kind of meant to be a little bit thematically like a spear, but in practice it really kind of isn't. Okay, Civic Spoon says, Purified Dragon Shard / Skill Tome nerf. Will this be addressed in a future patch, or will they never work again? We don't know yet. It's something we're considering. In general, it would be a very lengthy process to recreate, to make them work. And it's not really that popular a way to get Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments. The time that it takes to get skill tomes outside of the exploit that we have, you're frankly generally going to be using tokens of the 12 anyway. So there is a question of, is it worth the, let's say, at least 1 week of development time from one of our developers to do? Or are we better off perhaps finding a new way to get Purified Eberron Dragon Shards, or given that the number of people actually using it to turn in Purified Eberron Dragon Shards in a legit manner, say through Daily Dice or what have you, is so low, are we better off just saying, we've got lots of ways to get Purified Eberron Dragon Shards, do one of them. Now, I know some people don't want to hear that. And so we are considering our options. There may be ways in the future that we could have new ways to get Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments, but whether or not we're ever going to be able to use skill tomes and skill upgrade tomes in particular is an open question right now. Regular stat tomes work just fine. It's just the skill tomes we had to remove. Spears would be easy to generate. We have quarterstaves. Yes and no. So, yes, we do have quarterstaves, but it would still involve... Quarterstaves don't do a pokey animation, so we would have to do some kind of pokey thing. So, there may be some... Yeah, as Urlock says, in a giant optional, they can do it, but that's completely different from animating something for, you know, half-orc, half-elf, human, halfling, gnome, you know, all the various combinations of sizes and character classes that we have. You getting in, Urlock? Let's get going if you're ready. New deities coming to game soon? Question mark? Yes. Stay tuned. We have got some new deity feats that will be coming to the game probably in Update 33. And they will be new options for, you know, clerics, favored souls, druids. Basically anyone who can pick the current deity feats. And there's going to be a whole bunch of them. Some Forgotten Realms, some Eberron. Why are there not more deities for races? Again, that's something we are actually going to be doing. So... Civic Spoon says, skill tomes drop every time in sagas and drop at a decent rate in Daily Dice. Just because people in the forum say they only use tokens doesn't mean everybody does. You are correct, and I myself had some skill upgrade tomes that I had from Daily Dice that I was like, well, I could at least do this with them. But like I say, we are looking at an immense amount of work to fix this issue were we to try to bring skill tomes back. I'm getting a little bit in the weeds here, but the way it works is you put an item into the barter UI, which is what the Caneth crafting system uses, and it says, does the item you put in here have an effect of a certain type? And all skill tomes, both skill and upgrade tomes, have, I guess for lack of a better phrase, you could say skill tome effect. And if it has that effect, it'll return Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments. So it doesn't care what the binding status of the item is. That restriction may prevent you from putting it into the barter UI, but it doesn't actually matter to the barter UI system itself. So a couple of things we could do to resolve this issue would be to create an entire new set of recipes that would, well, we would, a couple of ways we could do it. So let's say, for example, man, I had a guest pass for Yearlock, but that's fine, thanks. You could create, essentially, let's say, an unbound skill tome, which would be one item, and a bound skill tome, which would be another item. And then you would have to create recipes that would say, if it's a bound skill tome, return 12 Purified Eberron Dragon Shards. If it's a unbound skill tome, return 12 Purified Eberron Dragon Shards. So you're literally doubling the recipes that would be necessary. So any kind of conversion recipe that would use those skill tomes would have to essentially be doubled in the item. On top of that, they would have to set they would be separate items in inventory. They would not be able to stack together. So there would be an inventory clogging issue as well. The other thing you could do is you would have to create some kind of... people have said, well, why can't you just have the ones turned in for skill tomes be bound to character Purified Eberron Dragon Shards? The same issue is there, where you would have literally twice the number of recipes that you would have to create in the system. So let's say right now we've got somewhere around 10 to 13,000 recipes in the Caneth crafting system. You would have to do twice that much. You would have to create an entire new number. So however many hours it took, no worries, to create every one of those recipes, you would have to do that same amount of work to do again. And clearly that's not insignificant. So, is it possible? Yes. Is it practical and realistic? No. You're almost probably better off in that scenario saying, okay, you can't turn in skill tomes, but maybe you can do Mysterious Remnants, Commendations of Valor, whatever other kind of currency is out there that you feel might be a good thing to do for Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments. But then you're dealing with an issue of you can't, with our current design goals in mind, we could not use any recipe, any ingredient that was duped. If it was dupable a couple of years ago, then it cannot be used to trade in for Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments. Sorry.
The sounds of combat become
and that's just the way it's going to be. You may not like it, but that is what's going to happen.
Asked that you help any downed archons
We've
to get back into the battle above.
Duping never hurts anyone, right? So we're basically left in a fairly difficult scenario of what to do here to resolve this issue. And on top of that, you know, yes, I understand that you could run sagas for Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments, but honestly, they're not that difficult to get. So why, if you're gonna do the work to run sagas, you should probably pick something other than skill tomes for your render levels. Pick the Guild Renown or XP or something like that instead. No, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You may say, well, yes, but that's clearly the best option there when you run sagas, is to get an upgrade tome to get yourself 12 Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments or whatever. But I don't think so. So I don't know. It's tough. We definitely recognize that particularly when it comes to upgrade tomes, skill tomes, there is a perception that they are less valuable.
A wave of magic
There's not a lot to
passes
do
through
with them
as the
unless you
ancient
fall
device
into a
activates.
specific scenario
Your mind
that
is
you
now
can use
shielded
them.
from domination.
That's a bigger issue and one we can address, but that's not something that we could address within the 24 to 48 hours necessary to resolve this significant exploit that was actively being done by people throughout the game. Did someone grab the key? I'm guessing not. Is it possible that new rewards will be added to sagas? Well, it's something we could do if we had a lot of feedback.
Several Abishai disengage from the battle in
Okay.
the air and attack.
Sorry, I didn't see your first tell there. Welcome. If we had overwhelming feedback that there wasn't anything to choose at the end of Saga rewards, or there wasn't enough, we could. I mean, there's nothing stopping us. But right now, Sagas are in pretty high demand, and people seem to really enjoy the rewards that are currently available to them. So I'm not sure that there's, given other necessary priorities, that, doing the work to give you one more awesome thing and a thing already full of awesome things is really the way we would want to go. No. Couldn't they just make skill tomes of a +4 or better available for turn-ins to negate the exploit? Yeah, that would be another option. That's possible. I think were we to query the player base on it, we might run into a scenario where people are like, well, those are the useful ones. What we're looking for is a way to use our less useful ones. So, yes, we could, but that wouldn't necessarily really resolve the issue for those who are calling for an alternative for their useless, quote, skill tomes. Could we make an orc iconic character? Yeah, we absolutely could. So I'm just trying to keep us alive here. I'll get back to our chat room in just a second when we're in a little bit less chaos. Alright. It's friendly. How about reducing the number of purified Eberron Dragon Shards needed then? Yeah, I mean, that's another option we could do. Civic Spoon had mentioned, that maybe there was a particular form perception problem. And I think that were we to reduce the cost of purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments, we would need enough evidence that it was really a problem to do. But what we've found so far is it has not been an insurmountable roadblock for people to do the crafting they want to craft. I know people are like, oh my god, I need this thing. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the point, right? for New Kenneth crafting, you're gonna have to go and collect things and engage with the system. That's by design. Yes, you may not have everything you'll ever need for the rest of your existence in DDO right off the bat, but that is working as intended. Purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments are only used for a small subset of particularly valuable crafting recipes. And the options to get the required number of Purified Eberron Dragon Shards is really not that tough. I mean, I logged into most of my characters on day one and was just like, alright, let's see what I got in my inventory I can turn in. Alright, now I got 200 of them. That's plenty. That's plenty, you know? And if I need to craft more than a dozen or so insightful items on, you know, I can go and run like Double Assault or a couple other things to get tokens of the 12 pretty easy. And then I can do that. So, the long and short is, you know, we are interested in your feedback. We do appreciate your feedback on this. No decisions have been made. We want to give the system time to settle and find its sort of trajectory, and then see if further adjustments need to be made to that trajectory. But doing some kind of, oh my gosh, we just gotta halve the cost of all purified dragon shards or make them drop twice as much because X number of people on the forums say that they think they're too high. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That's not even to say that they're not right. They may well be right, but we would like to let the system sort of find its like I say, its trajectory before we make some kind of knee-jerk reaction on it. Steelmaster wants to take another look at Korthos. That's something we've often thought would be neat to do. What will the third enhancement tree for Favored Soul be like? Again, I don't know yet. That's still to be designed. I think the goal would be to find what is not best being offered by the other two enhancement trees for Favored Soul, and then see if there's something we can do there to address it. So whether that be spell power, melee, offensive damage, healing, whatever it might end up being as a determining factor there. You know, we would probably want to focus in that direction. Yeah, I mean, we could just put, say, Purified Dragon Shards and Saga Rewards and all that, and then that would probably solve the forum problem. Nobody would actually take them, and people would stop complaining. It's totally unfair, but it's based on some truth. So.
Malicia the succubus peers through the sealed gate. My goodness, guests! I suppose
Yes, I am
should
being
refresh
Mr.
your
Casual today. I know these comments are going to go back to a couple of minutes. I look forward to it. Just remember that we are actually actively gathering your feedback on this. We do appreciate your feedback, and no determination has been made. If I see someone on the forum saying, oh my god, the devs say that they're happy with the drop rate. I'm not saying that. What we are saying is that we would like to let the system find itself and then make adjustments as necessary without sort of making quick reactions based on short-term feedback. Ow! Sure. Garret! So if you're that person that's going to write this on the forums after seeing this in the archive, you're wrong! We aren't saying that. on, Garret. Do your job. Jerkwad? No, kidding.
A metallic clang echoes down the hall as one of the gate's locks disengages.
Dark Sun, yeah, that's the one you're thinking of. Someone asked a question about a campaign world in chat. They're thinking of Dark Sun. It's kind of a... sort of... That's the best way to describe it. Almost like a Mad Maxian sort of D&D campaign setting that came out with 2nd edition, right? I think that's a 2e introduction. I never really played it myself, but I know it's got its fans. It's pretty cool at its core. It's kind of a almost Dothraki sort of campaign setting, if you're a Game of Thrones reader. And I bet with Game of Thrones it's actually kind of been refound by some role players. Any chance of bringing Dark Sun? I don't know. I guess if we felt it was, you know, going to be both a commercial and creative success, then yeah, you know, could certainly, you know, appeal to our licensors and that to do various Dark Sun related content. But again, nothing in the works there.
The muffled grinding of gears can be heard through the walls as the lever is pulled. With both levers pulled, the main hall's portcullis slides up, opening the way to the path beyond.
Yeah, we got a Dark Sun. Yeah, you like the Dark Sun thing? See, I never really played it all that much. I mean, it's cool. I like desert settings and that, but, you know, when I was doing 2E in particular, I was just doing a lot of homebrew campaigns. So I was never a big campaign setting guy. I never even did Forgotten Realms, frankly, a whole lot. But what about Ravenloft? Well, what about Ravenloft? Yes. We are actively pursuing Ravenloft. And that will be awesome. Steelmaster 24 has a question. Could we put, say, server populations on the launcher screen, or perhaps some kind of high-low setting saying, you know, do we have people... Is it a high or low pop at a given time on login? I think from a player perspective, that certainly makes sense. From a business perspective, that would probably not be something we would be interested in doing. You know, typically I think you'll find with online game companies that they're loath to do things which would lead someone to decide not to log in. Now, I think in your particular case, you're probably saying, well, I could log into, you know, a different world, and it would kind of let me know maybe I should play on Argo tonight instead of Kyber. But I don't think that experience mirrors what a lot of players do, which is stick to their game world. So we would have to have more people doing world swapping than playing on a specific game world to justify something like that. Yes, it's a business thing, but hey, you know, electronics store could tell you can get a TV cheaper at the other guy. Probably not going to.
The muted sound
Nearly
of
every
metal
other
dragging
MMO
against
has
stone
server
can be
population
heard
bars.
under the water.
I don't think that's true, is it? I've never seen one that has it. Well, yeah, maybe I'm totally wrong. What do I know? Why are there not more movie clips? Thinking, for example, of the Lords of Dust chain, you know, which was a preview for Menace of the Underdark, or the intro cinematic, of course, you know, probably being a pretty obvious example. I think really it just kind of comes down to cost versus benefit on that one. There is a, for that kind of level of commercial video, you're looking at a moderate, you know, cost outlay. And I agree, they're awesome. First couple of times you see it. But I think we've seen feedback, for example, on Lords of Dust, that if there was a checkbox to never see this thing again, you'd probably see a lot of people utilizing it. Just sorry. But yeah, I mean, the idea of doing some kind of commercial video, things like that, you know, it does have multiple purposes. You could use it, say, on social media and all that as well. So yeah, there's some real cool stuff that you can do with it. I just don't know that at the moment we're really focusing on that. You know, back in the day, I can mention this. Back in the day, when we were first developing Menace of the Underdark, our expansion pack, you know, there was the preview video that came out ahead of time for when you finished Lords of Dust, and that was both a lore thing, but it was also, frankly, a little bit of an in-game ad to pre-order the expansion pack, right? It was a free quest chain to sort of get people interested in playing Menace of the Underdark content. And there was a plan at that time to actually continue that series of videos throughout the whole Evening Star experience. Perhaps whether it's one, you know, if you think of, there's like the Impossible Demands bit, and the Chivalryn bit, and the Demon Web bit. At one point, there was a plan to do kind of little mini videos to kind of continue that story path along. So maybe at the end of every quest chain, you get another story beat, another cutscene, so to speak. But when it came down to, as we got closer to releasing Menace of the Underdark, we just ran out of the time to really do what we wanted to do with it. The SVT people, the sound and video technology employees, were busy doing all the Menace of the Underdark behind the scenes Lolth stuff that you can find on YouTube to this day, that frankly still remains usually in our top 20 most watched videos at any given month, even all these years later. So apparently they made the right choice. But but there was a plan actually to continue that sort of thing throughout the entire Menace of the Underdark experience. And then just due to the realities of getting an expansion out in time, we didn't go that direction. We ended up having to pull it before we really got too far along in the process. We had storyboarding that was done, and I had done a text pass. I had actually done a little bit of the writing on it. Actually, I did the whole first draft, now that I think about it, of the writing of it. And it was going to follow Anna, you know, get you more of a behind-the-scenes look at, like, what Anna's daily life was like, you know, some of the conflicts she was experiencing, what was happening in Evening Star at the time. You know, you're going to see some cutscenes of, you know, attacks by people and all that sort of thing. That was sort of the big plan. And then it just never like I said, we ended up having to cut that whole idea just due to the realities of game development. Are the worlds all on one server, or are they separated by region? Is there a certain one I should log into for the West Coast, for example? No. They're not all on one server. I mean, there's dozens, hundreds of servers, and then, you know, X amount of you know, player-facing sort of worlds, but they're not organized by region. They're all in the same place in New Jersey. And then there's some supplemental work that's done, you know, in the cloud. Virtualization, as they call it. And that's getting a little beyond my technical expertise. Yeah, I know my weapon totally sucks for this. I should probably take a look. I could probably switch to... I mean, I don't have good. Is there an item that's just been sitting in my inventory for a while? This character needs some gear help. Let me see if that's a little better. Yeah, I've got a skill tone. Oh no, a strength tone. So, and then I remember at one point with that Menace of the Underdark thing, rather than doing full cutscenes, there was a thought, well, if you recall at the time, remember, like, and I think Wizards of the Coast still does this, where they've had their preview videos for some of their upcoming sort of content pushes, where it's really static images, but they kind of move a little bit. It's sort of like a... I'm sure there's a technical term for it that I can't think of, but it's almost like a moving storyboard style cinematic, rather than a full animated cinematic. And there was an effort, it's like, well, okay, if we can't get the full animation in time, could we at least do that? So there was some thought about getting started on that, and then we had to cut that too, so that's how it goes sometimes. We need a DDO movie. I agree. I am all in favor of a DDO movie. Oh, yeah, good point. You're probably talking to me because Garrett's out of spell points. I wasn't paying attention. Sorry about that. Garret! Fine, he says. I've said this before on the live stream, but let me repeat myself because it's such a good idea. If we ever had a DDO movie, we need to have it be the story of the battle with Arganesson and Kundarik, essentially the Vault of Night series, where Vela is, you know, a tragic figure, because ultimately she is a tragic figure in the storyline there. And Vela needs to be voiced by Sigourney Weaver. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. So if you win the lottery and feel like investing it in a DDO movie, please let us know. I've already discussed today the issue regarding the Quest XP ransack. Has that been resolved? I brought it up at the start of the live stream. Our QA team and our developers are actively looking at it right now. We're looking for perhaps some more consistent repro steps than we've currently been able to find. But yes, we are actively looking at this and hope to resolve it as quickly as we can.
Malicia says, "Don't look so surprised. You didn't think those other times I died were actually going to stick.
So, like, we know something is going on. You know, we've heard enough of your reports that clearly something is going on. But when we went into a quest and completed an optional XP thing prior to
now that you
completing the
know
quest, it
that,
had no
she
impact
adds with a
on our
shrug.
base XP.
Goodbye.
But that
Time to
is in direct
die.
opposition to what we're seeing reported by some folks on the forums, and in particular. So, and it could be well that they actually have the answer already, and the reason I don't know it is because I've been on the live stream here for the last 48 minutes. But at least as of when I was looking... At least as of when I was looking at like 11:50 this morning Eastern time, we were still looking for a more consistent repro. Because the behavior we were seeing reported on the forums was not what we were seeing when we actually went into the game to do it. And that's somewhat unusual. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, frankly. No. Garret. Yes, I agree, Garret. How could you let that happen? Yep. I'm sorry, this is Rag on Garret Day. Come on, man. I need you. Xavier228 says, I would like to see a DDO movie featuring the Droam storyline with Sora Katra. There's so much that could be told there, too. Yeah. Yeah, that actually would be another really great option, I think. Because you're right, there's a lot there that would be really cool for possibility. Alright, see if I can get Militia down before I can at least get a quest completion, even if we wipe. You are talking high-budget, well-done masterpiece, not a B-movie. Yeah. You know, there is a certain level of... You know, I'm not a movie business person. I don't know that a DDO or D&D movie in general is going to have the kind of box office that, say, Lord of the Rings has. But what do I know? You know, it's a little bit more of a niche IP. Not that there aren't tons of D&D players, clearly, but when you're looking at that scale of a movie, you're looking at something that would need to, at the very least, be seen by several 100 million people. I'm not sure that that number would be expected to go to a D&D movie. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess we'll see, because Warner Brothers is making a D&D movie, and all indications point to it being kind of awesome. So, at least that's what the little press releases and stuff. They picked up a script that they really, really liked, and it helped get them really pushing for a D&D movie. So, that's awesome. Eek. Alright, well, I'm probably going to have to wrap up the live stream here. We don't really have time to run the other quest. I can probably run it on Wednesday. And I kind of need to get back to work, actually. So maybe I should cut the stream a little short this week. Yes, there is a Dungeon Siege movie. And it's fine. But it's not a super high budget thing either. Yeah. I mean, certainly a DDO movie would be great for us. I'm in favor of it. You know, I would like this idea. So, alright. Alright, that's going to do it with Friday afternoon here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons/live. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope I didn't offend too many people this week. I'm sure I will be hearing about some of the things I said this week. I'm sorry. I'm live every Wednesday and Friday at noon here on Twitch and YouTube, and over on Lotro every Thursday at noon. We do archive these videos, and we have shows throughout the weekend. So we have Fridays on Ice. That starts at 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock tonight. We have Papagayo de Tiar. That is Saturday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. We have got Shikaijo Explorers DDO. That's at 10 Eastern. And then on Sundays, we have Shu Cobblesay, and that begins at, I believe, 9 Eastern as well. So you can find our full schedule over on the Twitch page. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good day.